I tried a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon SoulSilver with only gifts. That's right, catching encounters are banned. Gambling my money in order to buy a Pokemon are banned. This leaves me with just 10 encounters, some of which are a little bit less than desirable. In a Nuzlocke, if a Pokemon faints, it's dead forever, and I can only obtain one gift Pokemon per new area. The other hardcore Nuzlocke rules are on the screen. Let's get started. I started this challenge by picking up my first gift Pokemon, my starter. Kinda random how some guy just wants to give you a free Pokemon, but I guess 2011 was a different year. When most people attempt this challenge, they always pick Totodile, but since we have access to Wooper, I thought I'd pick Cyndaquil because Slugma is not a good fire type. This was a huge mistake, as you'll see later, but that's an issue for later. Welcome to the team, Ted. From here, Ted and I make it to Violet City, and we can actually get 3 new encounters. In the Pokemon Center, there's an NPC who, if you talk to him and enter the correct phrases, can actually give you wallpapers and gift encounters. However, these wallpapers and encounters were only meant to release in Japan, and it's basically impossible to figure out the correct 4-word combination. Fortunately, by using a German website, we can upload our secret ID and get the correct phrases. A few minutes later, and we have 3 eggs in our PC box. Since I don't want to trivialize the early game, I decided to hatch 1 egg after each badge, and since eggs and counter tags are where you met them, this counts as 3 separate encounters. After running around like a madman in Violet City, I hatched my egg, a Mareep named Lily. Lily's electric type allows her to cleanly sweep Faulkner's very Jotonian birds with Thundershocks, winning me a pretty easy first gym badge. After winning the battle, I get a call from Professor Elm asking me to take an egg from him. Not sure why they trust me, but oh well. The egg ends up hatching into a Togepi who I name Marshall. Marshall can evolve into a Togekiss until the post-game, but he's an amazing encounter with Wish and Yawn support. With that, I make it to Azalea Town where Team Rocket threatens to beat some people up. I then traverse through Slowpoke Well with Slowpokes in it, and Kurt claims he hurt his back and can't move, but he's standing. Okay, buddy. One short trip later, and it's off to face Bugsy and his bug types. His Scyther is terrifying with Sword Stance and Quick Attack, but I have 2 Pokemon who are good into him. He leads off with Scyther and I with Ted. Scyther gets off a Leer as I hit a Smokescreen. This means that he misses the Quick Attack on the following turn, allowing me to hit an Ember, which gets the burn. This is phenomenal and completely renders Scyther useless, assuming he doesn't crit. Scyther heals up and then sets up a Focus Energy, so this is somewhat scary. Fortunately, a super effective Ember and burn damage are enough for the KO. Since Bugsy's other 2 Pokemon, if you could even call them that, are pretty underwhelming, they go down to a few Embers. That's the 2nd gym badge obtained. While trying to run around and hatch my next egg, I accidentally triggered the rival fight with my rival Derek. Derek leads with Ghastly and I with Ted. An Ember does massive damage and even gets another burn, but Ghastly sets up a curse which takes 20% of my HP each turn. This is awful for Ted, and things aren't much better as Croconaw comes out. I decide to switch into Lily, who's now a Flaffy on a water gun. A Thundershock then does a little less than 50% as Croconaw just misses a Scary Face. I then get off another Thundershock as Croconaw finally connects with a Scary Face, lowering my speed. Croconaw then gets off a 3rd Scary Face, allowing me to KO with a 3rd Thundershock. Derek is a Zubat who connects with a Supersonic, and I hurt myself in Confusion. Great. After taking a bite, I then hit myself in Confusion once more. Since I am dead to a crit, I switch into Marshall on a soft bite. Zubat then connects with another Supersonic, but Marshall breaks through and gets a critical hit Side Beam, winning me the battle. All that trouble nets me a Wooper named Barney, whose water and ground typing make him a phenomenal Pokemon. Barney likes to relax according to his characteristic. Sure you do, buddy. Sure you do. It's sent off to Goldenrod City, and you know how Bugsy and Faulkner were clean sweeps? Well, Whitney's not quite as easy. Her Miltank hits like a semi-truck, and you have to be careful because she could devastate your entire team. I thought I'd be able to get the gift Eevee, and when I went to the Pokemon Center, Bill wasn't there. It turns out that you need the badge to get the Eevee in Ecruteak City. I can't even use the other gift encounter on Route 25, a Spearow, because he's 1 level over the level cap. What I can do is raise Marshall's friendship until he evolves into a Togetic for some more power. I can also indulge in gambling and pick up the Flamethrower and Thunderbolt TMs. Other than that, that's pretty much all I can do. Whitney leads with Clefairy and I with Lily. A Thunderbolt then does more than 50% as a Metronome turns into Hyper Voice. We then outspeed and take the KO with a 2nd Thunderbolt. Next from Whitney is our Demonic Miltank, and because of hardcore Nuzlocke rules, I have to stay in. Miltank fires off a Stomp, which activates Static, but it's useless because Miltank has a Lum Berry and heals up. Since Miltank could destroy me, it's off to Marshall on another Stomp. Miltank then outspeeds and gets off a 3rd Stomp as I get off a Yawn. Figuring I'm safe to survive one more non-critical hit, I stay in, but Miltank goes for a Tract. I hit a Metronome, which rolls Acupressure, which is sort of useless. Luckily, Miltank then falls asleep, and Metronome reveals Heal Block, another useless move. Since I don't want Marshall to die, I switch into Ted as Miltank snoozes once more. Miltank then sleeps again as I get off a powerful flamethrower. Another flamethrower isn't enough for the KO, meaning that Whitney heals and I get off another flamethrower. On the following turn, Miltank finally wakes up and it's a hard stomp as I go for another flamethrower. Once again, it's just shy of the KO. Thankfully, I have quick attack, which is priority and destroys Miltank, winning me the battle and the 3rd gym badge. It wasn't exactly a clean victory as I did risk some early wake-ups and some critical hits. With 3 gym badges down, I want to talk about something important that's not related to Pokemon, the 2024 presidential election. Before you get mad at me, I am not endorsing any candidate, I'm not telling you who to vote for, I'm not even telling you to vote at all. However, if you do want to vote, go to Vote.gov to make sure that you're registered to vote. Once again, I'm not telling you who to vote for, and quite frankly, it's really none of my business. This is just a friendly reminder for those who do want to vote but aren't registered to vote or are voting for the first time in a presidential election. Once again, go to Vote.gov, which will be in the description of this video, to learn more information about your state's registering process. Thank you so much for listening, and let's get back to the challenge. With the increased level cap, I can go ahead and evolve Spearow, who I nicknamed Robin, into a Fearow, a pretty powerful Pokemon. I can also go to Ecruteak City and talk to Bill, who mentioned something about Goldenrod. I do the sensible thing and stalk him until he gives me a gift Eevee. This Eevee named Ranjit was the second mistake of the run, as you'll later see. Since we were facing ghost types, I thought the right play was to evolve him into an Umbreon, which I end up doing. I also evolved Barney into a Wooper, who is another amazing Pokemon with access to Earthquake later down the line. It's now time for another rival fight against Derek. He leads off with Ghastly and I with Lily. Haunter hits a Confuse Ray, but Lily pulls through and gets the KO with a Thunderbolt. Second is Croconaw, who hits an Ice Fang, which freezes. Luckily, I on-thaw as Croconaw goes for a Scary Face, and I hit myself in confusion. On the following turn, Croconaw then goes for another Scary Face as I once again hit myself in confusion. Since I am dead to a critical hit, I switch into Marshall on a Scary Face. Why is this thing obsessed with speed control? Either way, Croconaw gets up another Scary Face as I hit a Crush Claw, lowering the Croc's defense. An Ice Fang then does massive damage as I end up hitting a Rock Blast. Since I am dead to a critical hit, or if I stay in, it's off to Kenya on an Ice Fang. Not sure what I was thinking with this play. I then switch into Barney on another Ice Fang. Croconaw then goes for a Scary Face as I go for a Tail Whip. Croconaw then goes for yet again another Scary Face as Mud Bomb is just shy of the KO. Fortunately, after tanking a Water Gun, a Mud Bomb is enough for the KO. Third is Zubat, who connects with a Supersonic as I get the one-shot, leaving Magnemite. After tanking a Sonic Boom, Mud Bomb gets the KO, winning me the battle. Oh hey look, it's the legendary beasts. With that, I can go ahead and face Morty and his ghost types for the 4th gym badge. He leads off with Ghastly and I with Kenya. Fortunately, Ghastly is so weak that one Aerial Ace gets the KO. Second is Haunter, who barely hangs on from an Aerial Ace but then goes for a Curse. This is really bad because unless I want Robin to die, I have to swap out as Gengar comes in. I switched into Ted on a Mean Look, so this was an amazing play. A Flamethrower then does more than half, but I held Citrus Berry, means Gengar will be able to tank 2 more. A Shadow Ball then brings me down to just 13 HP, but this is amazing because Blaze is activated, meaning my fairy moves will do extra damage. This means that a second Flamethrower gets the KO, leaving Haunter. Since I'm dead to any move, I switch into Lily. Haunter outspeeds and hits a Nightshade as Thunderbolt does massive damage. Since I'm dead to a critical hit, I switch into Marshall as Morty heals up. Haunter then goes for a Curse as Metronome rolls Iron Defense. Since I don't want Marshall to die, I switch into Robin on a Mean Look. Fortunately, an Aerial Ace on the following turn is enough for the KO, winning me the battle and the 4th gym badge. Miltanks, you love them, don't ya? After making it to Olivine City, I meet a gym leader. You know, Jasmine's kind of abusive. She forced an Ampharos to work until he was sick, and oh my god, this is cruel. Well, that's not my problem because I make it to Cinewood City, and I can get another encounter being a Shuckle. And here's where I learned something interesting. You see, Derek actually stole the guy's Pokemon, and I guess that scared him into giving me his other Pokemon, so this guy literally has no Pokemon left. Either way, Shuckle, who despite being on the team at certain points, is actually never used. Despite all this, he's a pretty cool encounter. With that, I make it to the gym, and surely training under waterfalls can't be good for you. Before the gym fight, I evolve Lily into an Ampharos, one of the best Gen 2 Pokemon in my opinion. With that, I can go ahead and face Chuck for the 5th gym badge. He leads off with Primeape and I with Lily. Primeape goes for a double team as I go for a Growl to reduce the monkey's attack. Primeape then goes for a Focus Punch as I get off a Thunder Wave to paralyze the monkey. Since I didn't attack, Focus Punch does massive damage into Lily. And since I am dead to a critical hit, I switch into Kenya and I limp Rock Slide. But if that crit, that would have been pretty scary. On the following turn, I go for an Aerial Ace, which doesn't KO as Prime sets up another double team. Since I know Chuck will heal, I go for a Leer, which misses. An Aerial Ace is just shy of the KO as Prime keeps going for double teams. Fortunately, all the stupid ape does is go for a Focus Punch and is then taken out by another Aerial Ace. Second and last is Poliwrath, who goes for a Focus Punch, and an Aerial Ace looks like a 2-shot. Another Aerial Ace brings Poliwrath down to his berry. Fortunately, Poliwrath whiffs a Hypnosis, meaning a final Aerial Ace gets the KO, winning me the 5th gym badge. I then give the medicine to Jasmine so that Ampharos can continue his life of indentured servitude. Sorry, buddy. Either way, I have to fight Jasmine for the 6th gym badge, but the level caps in Heart Gold and SoulSilver are pretty weird. Gym 7 has a lower level cap than 6, so I decide to box everybody but Ted and Barney. I level up Barney to 35, but Ted to level 34, because assuming he doesn't get enough EXP, I can use him in the Gym 7 fight. Jasmine leads off with Magnemite, and I with Barney. Magnemite goes for a Supersonic, which connects, but gets destroyed by a Mud Bomb. Her other Magnemite also meets the same fate. Third is Steelix, who goes for a Sandstorm, which both raises our special defense. Even with the special defense boost, a Surf does massive damage as Steelix misses an Iron Tail, but then I hurt myself in confusion. Luckily, Steelix misses another Iron Tail, meaning that Surf gets the KO. That's the 6th gym badge. Well, I guess it's bye to Barney. Please don't go to any bars, it's not going to help anybody. Why is this Gyarados so sick? It's red and it's in pain. Let me put it out of its misery with a Thunderbolt. After watching Lance kill a guy with Hyper Beam, I make it to Team Rocket's lair. Team Rocket is super underwhelming in this game. They can't even be bothered to use fully evolved Pokemon. What was Game Freak thinking? After a short detour, I can go ahead and face Price and his Ice types for badge number 7. He leads off with a Seal who gets destroyed by a Thunderbolt from Lily. Second is Piloswine, so I go for a Growl to reduce Mud Bomb's damage. From here, it's off to Ted as Piloswine sets up the Hail. A Flamethrower is just shy of the KO as the pig misses a Mud Bomb. This means on the following turn, Ted is free to take the KO with a Flamethrower. Last is Dugong, and this thing isn't an Ice type. A Flamethrower does a bit of damage as I tank an Aurora Beam. On the following turn, I end up going for a Leer and then tanking another Aurora Beam. Another Flamethrower does decent damage as I tank another Aurora Beam. Since I'm not doing much damage, it's off to Lily on a rest. After taking a Sleep Talk, Thunderbolt gets the KO, winning me the 7th gym badge. Side note, I had no idea that Dugong wasn't in. After winning the battle, Ted evolves into Typhlosion, one of the best starters in the game. After I trek back to Goldenrod, I have a quick fight with Derek. Derek. I also have a Gauntlet with Team Rocket leaders, but they don't even use fully evolved Pokemon. Either way, that's the world saved. This means I can go to Blackthorn City, home of Clair and her Dragon types, and I'm actually worried as I don't have a solid strategy. Clair leads off with Gyarados, and I with Lily. After taking a Dragon Rage, Thunderbolt gets the clean KO. Second is Dragonair, who outspeeds and paralyzes me as I go for a Growl. I then switch into Barney on a Dragon Pulse. After tanking Dragon Pulse numero dos, an Ice Beam does around half of its HP. Assuming the next Dragon Pulse doesn't crit, we should be fine. Luckily no crit, so another Ice Beam gets the clean KO. Third is Kingdra, so I switch into Ranjit on a Dragon Pulse. Kingdra goes for a Smoke Screen, but I connect with a Confuse Ray. I then go for a Tail Whip as Kingdra hurts itself in confusion. This means I can go for 2 more Leers and then Feint Attack, which is a lot less damage than I expected. After taking a hard Hydro Pump, it's off to Kenya on a Hydro Pump, leaving him in the red. Fortunately, I outspeed and KO with a Fly, leaving Dragonair. I decide to switch into Ted, who tanks the Body Slam pretty well. I then go for a Leer to lower the Dragon's defense as Ted gets fully paralyzed. After taking a Dragon Pulse, Headbutt does massive damage. I risk it and Dragon Pulse brings me down to 19 HP, but I get fully paralyzed. I then decide to switch into Marshall, who eats the Dragon Pulse. After Dragonair goes for a Dragon Pulse, again Secret Power is just shy of the KO, but I get the paralysis. Claire then heals up as I go for a Wish. A Metronome then rolls a Trick Room, which is great, and I'm almost at full HP thanks to the Wish. Metronome then rolls an Aqua Ring, but the Dragon Pulse crits for massive damage. What happens next, I honestly have no answer for. I stay in and Metronome rolls Dark Pulse, meaning that Dragonair survives, and Marshall gets crit with a Dragon Pulse. I literally have no explanation for this other than a poor misplay, but this is probably my worst Nuzlocke death ever. I bring in Ranjit, who is a Feint Attack and then is paralyzed. Claire then heals up as I stay fully paralyzed. After Dragonair goes for a Dragon Pulse, a Feint Attack does around half. Assuming we live a non-crit and I don't get fully paralyzed, we win the battle. Both of those things don't happen, but it still cost me a lot. RIP Marshall, you are forever a victim of dumb misplays. Either way, that's all 8 gym badges obtained. Claire throws a temper tantrum, so I have to answer a quiz so I can get a Dratini, who I never end up using. Dragonite is an amazing Pokemon, but I'm not going to use him until Kanto. Did you know you just took your first step into Kanto? Buddy, you are not Border Patrol. In Victory Road, we have a final fight with Derek. His team is somewhat scary, but could take a trip to Sinnoh. He leads with Sneasel and I with Lily. Sneasel gets off a feint attack before a Signal Beam is enough for the one-shot. Second is for Alligator, who goes for a Waterfall, which crits, leaving me with just 8 HP before a Thunderbolt gets the one-shot. Third is Haunter, so it's off to run cheat on a Shadow Ball. Heartser goes for a Confuse Ray before a feint attack is enough for the one-shot. Second is Golbat, who goes for an Air Cutter as I hit a feint attack, which is just shy of the kill. Fortunately, a quick attack on the following turn picks up the KO. Fifth is Magneton, so it's off to Ted on a Thunder Wave. Fortunately, Ted doesn't get fully paralyzed, meaning that all you have to do is tank a Spark and KO with a Flamethrower. Last from Derek is Kadabra, who disables my Flamethrower. On the following turn, Ted gets fully paralyzed as Kadabra sets up a Reflect. After tanking a hard Side Beam, Ted once again gets fully paralyzed. This means he has to bow out as Barney comes in and gets confused. Since I critical hit would kill, I switch into Robin on a Disable. I then go for a Leer before taking a hard Side Beam. Fortunately, a Fly on the following turn gets the KO, winning me the battle against Derek. Derek. With that, I'm at the Pokemon League, and there are 5 trainers ahead of me. They're all scary and have somewhat diverse teams. Lance's team is very overpowered with 3 Dragonites, Aerodactyl, Gyarados, and a Charizard. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do this. Fortunately, I can get one final encounter, being a Hitmonlee in Mount Mortar. Hitmonlee gets the Elemental Punches, and with Iron Fist, he's too good to pass up. Welcome to the Team Victoria. By feeding her Iron, I make sure she evolves into Hitmonchan as opposed to Hitmonlee or Hitmontop. With that, here's my final team. These 6 guys have been here since the beginning. With just Marshall being 6 feet under, it's up to the 6 of us to avenge him. Let's do this. First is Will and his Psychic types. He leads off with Xatu and I with Lily. Xatu goes for me first as Thunderbolt gets the KO. Second is Jinx, who outspeeds and puts me to sleep. I really hate this Pokemon. A Psychic from Jinx then gets the special defense drop, and it's no longer safe to stay in. I decide to switch into Ranjit on a Psychic. Jinx then misses a lovely kiss, allowing me to get the KO with a feint attack. Third is Exeggutor, so I stay in and had a massive feint attack as the plant goes for a Reflect. This means that feint attack doesn't KO, allowing Exeggutor to put me to sleep with Hypnosis. Will then heals up as I stay asleep. After tanking an Egg Bomb, Ranjit is still sleeping. On the next turn, Exeggutor hits another Egg Bomb as Ranjit stays asleep. Fortunately, on the following turn, Ranjit wakes up and nails Exeggutor with a feint attack. On the next turn, I outspeed and then tank the KO. Fourth is Slowbro, so I switch into Kenya on a Curse. I then go for a Leer, meaning that Slowbro will go for Curses to compensate. Slowbro doesn't actually know any physical moves, so this is completely fine. Eventually, I go for a Fly and tank a hard Psychic. Since I am dead to a critical hit, it's off to Ranjit on a failed Psychic. I switch into Barney on a Water Pulse for a bit of damage on the next turn. I then go for a Yawn as Slowbro keeps setting up. I then start spamming Earthquakes, and a few turns later, Slowbro meets his end, leaving Will's last Pokemon, another Xatu. He hits a hard Psychic before an Ice Beam does massive damage. Since I am dead to a critical hit, it's off to Ted on a Psychic, lowering my special defense. I then get off a Headbutt, which luckily flinches. This means on the following turn, another Headbutt picks up the KO, winning me the battle and the first Elite Four member fight. Second is Koga and his Poison types. He leads off with Ariados and I with Ted. Ariados sucks as a Pokemon and goes down to a single Flamethrower. Second is Fortress, who also goes down to a single Flamethrower. Third is Muck, who tanks a Flamethrower and goes for a Minimize. I whiff a Flamethrower on the following turn as Gunk Shot does massive damage. A critical hit would have flat out destroyed Ted. I decide to switch into Barney, who tanks the Gunk Shot but gets poisoned in the process. After taking a third Gunk Shot, an Earthquake seals the deal. Fourth is Venonat, so it's up to Robin on a Psychic. On the following turn, Fly is enough for the clean KO. Last is Crobat, and assuming we can dodge a critical hit, a Fly should do massive damage. Wing Attack comes out, but it crits, meaning that Robin falls. RIP. Robin was an amazing Pokemon and will be missed. At the very least, Lily can come in for free. Crobat sets up a double team, and I miss. Crobat outspeeds and goes for a double team once more, but then Thunderbolt KOs, winning me the battle, though not without a sacrifice. RIP Robin. The rest of the run is for you. Third in the Elite Four is Bruno. Robin would have completely trivialized Bruno's fighting type, so this is definitely going to be a lot harder. Bruno leads off with Hitmonlee as I with Ted. A Flamethrower does massive damage as counter whiffs. This means a second Flamethrower destroys Hitmontop. Second is Onyx, so it's off to Barney on an Earthquake for pitiful damage because Onyx sucks. Onyx then sets up a Sandstorm to help us out before Surf gets the KO. Third is Hitmonlee, who misses a swagger before Surf does around a third. Hitmonlee finally connects with a swagger, but this means that the special defense boost with the sand ensures that Earthquake picks up the KO. Fourth is Machamp, who hits a massive cross chop as Earthquake is just shy of the KO. Since I'm dead to a critical hit, it's off to Ted on a full restore. A Flamethrower does a bit more than 50% as cross chop does massive damage. Luckily, another Flamethrower gets the KO, leaving Hitmonchan. I decide to switch into Lily on a Thunder Punch for a bit of damage. Ironically, it's Lily who gets paralyzed here. A Thunderbolt then does more than half as I tank a Fire Punch. Thanks to the paralysis, I outspeed and KO, winning me the battle. Last in the Elite Four is Karen, who wants to speak to my manager. She leads off with Umbreon and I with Ted. Ted's Flamethrower does massive damage as he tanks a Feint Attack. A quick attack on the following turn for a bit of chip and to ensure Flamethrower gets the KO as Umbreon goes for a payback. On the following turn, Flamethrower gets the KO, bringing in Murkrow, so it's off to Lily to pluck, which procs Static. This means that Thunderbolt on the following turn gets the KO. Third is Houndoom, who has a problem with Nasty Plot Flamethrower. Houndoom sets up a scary Nasty Plot before I get off a Thunder Wave. I then go for a Flash as +1 Flamethrower leaves Lily with 5 HP. A burn, crit, or high roll would have been devastating. Luckily none of that happens, so it's off to Barney on a Crunch. On the following turn, a Surf luckily gets the KO. Third is Vileplume, so it's off to Victoria for her debut battle on a Petal Dance. A Fire Punch does massive damage as Vileplume keeps spamming Petal Dance. Now that I think about it, why does Vileplume even belong on a Dark-type Elite Four member team? On the next turn, a Fire Punch picks up the KO. Last is Gengar, and we're suddenly in an awful position. If I switch into Ranjit, it will be on a Focus Blast, so I have no other play but to let Victoria go down. I really wish it didn't come down to it, but it'll be more beneficial to have Ranjit in the long run. Thank you for your service. You aren't here long, but you will be remembered. Ranjit comes in, dodges a Focus Blast, and hits a hard Feint Attack. Another Focus Blast doesn't even do half, meaning we can secure the KO with another Feint Attack, winning me the battle. Thank you for your service, Victoria. This means we're facing Lance with just 4 Pokemon. This is terrifying, and I'm not sure if we're going to win. Luckily, Barney's Ice Beam should do massive damage into all of his Pokemon. Once again, I'm not sure, but let's do this. Lance leads off with Gyarados, and I with Lily. Gyarados goes for a hard Waterfall, causing Static to activate, but I flinch. This is really bad. Luckily, thanks to Static, I can outspeed and KO on the following turn with another Thunderbolt. Second is Dragonite, but I have no choice but to let Lily go down. A powerful Outrage immediately takes Lily out. At least Ranjit can come in and tank an Outrage and goes for a Confuse Ray. I then go for a Quick Attack for a bit of chip as the dragon hurts himself in confusion. Ranjit then gets off another Quick Attack before being destroyed by an Outrage. At least Barney comes in and can take an Outrage down to 32 HP, but Ice Beam doesn't KO. Dragonite doesn't get confused either, meaning another Outrage takes out Barney in the hopes of winning the run. Ted comes in and stands alone. He's able to get off a Leer as Dragonite hurts itself in confusion. A Headbutt is just shy of the KO as Outrage leaves me with 21 HP. At the very least we can take out Dragonite, but Lance still has 4 Pokemon left. Aerodactyl comes in and the run is over. A Rock Slide connects, destroys Ted, his hope for love, and the run. That ending was soul crushing and I made a lot of mistakes. The first of which was Ted, my starter. The few people who have attempted this challenge on YouTube have always picked Feraligatr because of Stab Ice Fang. While Typhlosion may be useful, it's really only useful in the early game against Bugsy. In fact, I believe that Lily could have handled Bugsy's Pokemon all by herself. The second was not evolving Eevee into a Jolteon instead of Umbreon. Jolteon's Electric type would have been great into the Lance fight. The reason why I went with Umbreon is because I haven't used one for a while, and from a content standpoint, it just looks better on the thumbnail. I know that's petty, but that's just YouTube sometimes. Losing Robin and Marshall to random crits really sucked, and I should have played around those. I also should have realized that Barney alone would have not guaranteed the KO on Lance's Pokemon. I do want to get into some ROM hacks in the future, so wiping to what is an essentially pretty easy challenge sucks, but that's Pokemon for you. There's always enough RNG to keep you on your toes. I attempted this challenge after wiping, and I picked Totodile as my starter, but after 2 gym badges, it just really didn't seem worth it, and I was kinda burnt out. I will attempt this challenge in the future, but not at this time. Stay tuned by subscribing to the channel and also following me on Twitter. I'll see you in the next video. Maybe I'll attempt this challenge again in the future, maybe I won't. Subscribe to find out. God, that was a really bad outro. I have no idea how to do these.